So hello everyone, welcome to this Informatics and Practices class. And today we are going to see some more way of how we can create a series object using Pandas. So we can create a series object using a scalar value. Okay. So if you look at here, we are creating a series object by passing 15. This is nothing but a scalar value, and we are going to give the index. And for index, we are using a function range from 1 6 with step as 2. Okay. If you look at here, the output will be the index will be 1, 3, and 5, and output is what? It's repeated 3 times. So if you pass a scalar value, so the data of the pandas series object will be exactly repeated the same size of the index. If you are giving index like 1 to 10, so then the scalar value also will be repeated. Here we are given 3 because now if the range function gives 1, 3, and 5 as the index. If you look at it on the left side, 1, 3, and 5 is the index. So this 15 is repeated 3 times. So this becomes a scalar value. Okay, look at here, the scalar value which is given as a data will be repeated to match the length of the index. Okay, the length of index 3, so it's repeated 3 times. Okay, so by the way, what is a scalar? So scalar value is nothing but a single value. It may not be a list, array, or a collection. It's kind of very basic data with just one item. Okay. In simple terms, if you want to say scalar is nothing but a one number. Some examples are like given below as 10 or a single string hello or a float or a true or false boolean. These are all scalar value. So just remember that. So whenever you pass a scalar value, this will be repeated for the length of the index. Okay. So let's move on. And today, these are the new topics we are going to see. Okay. So in today's class, we are going to see some new concepts we are going to learn today. So the first one is like when we create a series object, we may not have all the values for the data. Okay. So in that case, how are we going to do that? So series objects handles that. So we can pass NaN. Okay, this is nothing but a numpy feature where we can pass NaN. It's nothing but not a number. Okay, so if you pass not a number, so that will be handled as none or NaN as shown in the example here. If you look at here, this is a series I'm creating. Here I'm passing for data, I'm passing a list with the first value 6.5, second value is np.nan. Okay, this is a float constant from NumPy library. So, and then the third value is 2.34. So, when I do that, when I print that, I'm getting, no, this is the index and the value. Where I'm getting 6.50, and here I'm giving us not a number, and I'm giving is getting here is like 2.34, which I passed in the list. So when you may have like many use cases or many scenarios where you may not have the value for the entire series or the entire data. So in that case, you can fill with NaN. So you can also fill with none also, NONE, none. Okay, that also will be an option to fill the series data if you don't have the actual value. So let's see with an example. And before that, like what is NaN? It's nothing but a special float constant given by NumPy. And what is none? This is a special built-in object. Okay, that represents null or missing data. Okay, when you pass none in the Panda series, it automatically gets converted to NaN, not a number, and it will series of float data type. Okay. Now, so this I will give some example maybe at the end, and we can see like how we're gonna run that as a lab exercise. Then you will have some more understanding on that. And now the second additional functional is right. So we can specify indexes as well as the data with series object. So we earlier we created just passing the Data alone we passed, right? So now we know that we can pass the index also. Okay. And the prerequisites of both should be a sequence. Both values and index must be a sequences. Okay. So if you're not passing that, then none is taken by default. Default will be none. None will be the default value if you don't pass these parameters. Okay. And moreover, we have option to not pass this keyword. The data is nothing but a keyword, right? We can just pass the data alone without specifying the keyword. So keyword, I have example for that. So I'll be covering that so that you'll have some more understanding on that. Let's move on. So the other options, additional functionalities, right? So we can use a loop for defining index values. If you look at here, this is the index. And here I am just giving a list. Okay, this X for X in A, B, C, D, E will give a list for, because this it just iterate this string, and for each character will be added as a member of the list. Okay, so I will give some more example on that as well. This, look at here, this X for X in A, B, C, D will create a list by iterating each character in A, B, C, D. But here A, B, C, D, E are the index, and this range from 1 to 15 with step size is 3, and excluding 15. The last, it should be less than 15. That's why no 1, 2, 3, 4. If we add 3, it will be 4. 4 if we add 3, it will be 7. 7 if we add 3, it will be 10 and 13. And it should be less than 15. That's the range function. So the starting point and the end point, but it should be less than the end point mentioned here. That's why it finished with 13. This function is giving 1, 4, 7, 10, 13 as a value, and this index, this loop list is giving A, B, C, D, and E as a value. So combining this, the series, we are getting a series of the exactly as shown in this image. So I have an example. I have a lab. I will explain that as well. Okay. Now we can also mention the data type. Okay, this is the third option. So we can mention the data type of the data. Look at here. So we know, like, we can create Pandas series. We are passing the data and we'll pass the index, and one more params we can pass like data type. By default, it will be as none, but we can pass our own data type. If you look at the example here, I'm passing the data as an array index. I'm passing, and then I'm passing a D type. This is nothing but data type. I'm using float 64. That's why I'm getting float 64 here. NP is nothing but this is part of the NumPy data type. Look at here, like we can specify a NumPy data type, which is like np.float64. So when we print that, we'll be getting this value here. Okay, let's move on. And then, like, the fourth option, the additional functionality is like we can also pass expression. Okay, the syntax is like Pandas series. I'm going to pass the index and data instead of data. So we can pass a function or we can pass a expression. If you look at example here, I'm passing index. This is an array. Okay, the np dot arrange will give a array. So that I'm passing as I'm passing as the index here. But in case of data, I'm just passing an expression. Look at a star 2. A is nothing but this value. Star 2. So look at here, A is nothing but index here, right? 9, 10, 11, 12 are the index A. But the data, corresponding data will be A star 2. This will be multiplied to 9, multiplied by 2 is 18, 10 multiplied by 2 equal 20, 11 multiplied by 2 equal 22, 12 multiplied by 2 equal 24. And this is another example where I am doing double star, A star star 2. Okay. It means like 9, you are multiplying into 9. This is the power 9. 9 into 9, 81. Like 10 into 10, 100. 11 into 11, 121. Like it's a power. Like 12 into 12, 144. Okay, this is how we can create the data using the function or expression. Okay, it's the first example we see the class. Look at here. Now I am passing this list. So I'm passing this value and this value, but this value I'm not passing. So instead I'm passing a NaN, this is a numpy float constants. Okay, let me run it and see what's happening. Look at, I'm getting 6.50, and here I give NA, not a number, because I don't have the value for that. So if I don't have the value, I just can populate with NaN. Okay, that's why the second item record is filled with NaN. Okay, now let me uncomment this. The same way we can pass none also. Okay, if we pass none also, let's see what's happening. Let me comment this out and let me run it. So here I'm getting NaN. I passed none, so Python will convert that into Pandas will convert that into NA, not a number. So there will be many use cases. No, we have hundreds and thousands of record will be there. Few of the records you may not have the value. Okay, so that case you can use this approach like np.nan or none you can pass, and you do the data analysis you can do, because end of the day we are using this series, pandas for data analysis. So that's what we saw in the first slide. Okay, let's move on. The second thing we saw is like we can use the index. Look at here, data, okay, is one parameter and index is another parameter. Now I'm passing the data as a list. This is the value I'm passing here. Okay, and index when I'm passing the months. Okay, so now this is an example where I'm going to pass data as well as index. If I run it, I'll be getting this months as the index, because I'm passing this month as a index. So Jan, Feb, March, April, and the data will be 31, 28, 31, 30. So this is what an example where you can pass index with data with index. Okay, let's go on to the next example. Here I'm going to pass the same data and index, but I'm going to have a character list. Okay, so if you run the same thing only, there's no much difference. This example is given in the book, so I'm just writing it down. So index is nothing but A, B, and C. You can see A, B, and C, and the value is 3, 32, 34, and 35. So the other example is like what we discussed in the theory class is like we don't need to mention this data, right? We can mention this data as array, that also will work, right? We don't need to mention this keyword. Okay, this is a keyword you don't need to mention. Even if you don't mention, also it will work. This is what mentioned in the book. Okay, so you don't need to mention the data keyword. Keyword data is skipped. Yeah. Okay, now let's move on with the next one. So this we saw where we are going to pass a data type params also. Data we know we will pass index also we passed. Now we have a new parameters. I am going to pass the data type. Okay, in this part numpy is numpy data type. So I input numpy and dot input float 61 will give the float system data type. Let me run it here. So I'm getting float 64, right? 31. These are the value. Given I had it, it was not here, it was integer. That's no decimal point result, but this is converted into float. That's why getting data type is float 64, and the index remains the same, Jan, Feb, March, and April, but the value is changed. Okay. Let me, for the demo purpose, let me remove that. Okay, note it down, it's float 64 and 31.0, 20.0. Just note it down, keep in your mind. I just removed the data type. Let me run it. Run it, look at I'm getting the int 64, and look at the dot 0 is removed here. Okay, so that's what the difference. We can pass the data type as well. Look at I'm getting float 64 because I'm passing the data type, numpy data type, and even the value has changed as a float value. Okay, let's move on. The other things concept we learned is like we can pass the mathematical expression. Look at here, this is a numpy arrange will give a series. He'll give a list, and here I'm just printing that list. Okay, then what I'm going to do now, I'm using this index as this array as the index. And for data, I'm going to use an expression. This is nothing but expression. What it does, it will multiply this index value into 2. Okay, let me comment this out. Okay, and I'm going to run it. Okay, let me repeat. Okay. So we can also pass expression into the value for data. Okay, look at the data. I'm passing an expression here. So what is A? A is nothing but a list we'll be getting as part of this NumPy array function method. I'm just putting it here. So what this expression will do? It will take the index and it will multiply into 2. Let me comment this out, and I'm going to run this. Look at here. 9 is the index. 9 into 2 is nothing but 18. Okay, that's why we're getting 18 because I'm not passing the data directly. I'm just using the expression here. 10 into 2 equal to 20. A star 2, right? 11 into 2 is equal to 22. 11, 12 into 2 is 24. So that's how we do the, we evaluate the expression and assign the value for data for each index. Now let me comment this out and let me comment this out. Here, what I'm going to do is power A power 2, right? Double star. So here the same thing happen, but it will be a square. Let me run it. Okay, 9 into 9, 81, 10 into 10, 100, 11 into 11, 121, 12 into 12, 144. This is how we can use the expression also in series object. Okay, so let's move on. So now what we're going to do is like we can use the loops also. Look at here. I am going to use this list for exit A, B, C, D. So this will give a list with A, B, C, D, and E. Okay, 5 member list will be given to us. And for the index, and this range will be start from 1 and it increment by 3 and it should be below 15. So let me run it here. Look at A, B, C, D, and E are the indexes, and look at the data. 1. As I said, it start from 1 because this the range will start from the first point and will end the point such a way that the last point should be less than the point mentioned here. I mean the number mentioned here. So that's why you ended it by 13. It go beyond 15. Okay, because no, and then it's adding incrementing by 3. So it's the and with the step size, it's incrementing by 3. That's why you're getting 1 plus 3 equal to 4, 4 plus 3 equals 7, 7 plus 3 equal to 10, 10 plus 3 equal to 13. But if you add 13 plus 3, it becomes 16. So that's why it stopped here. Okay. So any questions? I'm stopping here. So I shown a example as well as I explained the theory as well as the example, given example.